Humanity had many names across the stars. Some called them Deathworlders, for they came from a harsh planet that shaped strong and stubborn survivors. Others called them traitors, because humans had a habit of building markets and alliances wherever they went. But the name most common in peaceful regions of the galaxy was something far softer: healers. It was not the soldiers or politicians of Earth who first touched distant worlds. It was the doctors, nurses, scientists, and aid workers. They arrived on burning battlefields, tending to the wounded of both sides. They brought medicine to plague-ridden colonies when others had abandoned them. They trained alien villagers in basic health, often asking for no payment but trust. Many species could not understand it. Why would a people so dangerous, descended from predators, scarred by countless wars, choose to send healers instead of conquerors? But humanity knew the answer. After surviving so much pain on their homeworld, they carried a deep truth: life is precious. For decades, humanity's healers became a symbol of hope. Entire cultures welcomed them. Children of alien worlds grew up saying, "Don't worry, the humans will come. They always do." And then, someone decided to break that trust. The first attack was dismissed as a tragedy. A medical shuttle delivering supplies to the frontier world of Arvin was ambushed in orbit. Pirates, the officials claimed. The shuttle burned in the upper atmosphere, and 12 human medics died alongside 6 alien volunteers. Earth mourned, but accidents happened in wild space. The healers kept traveling. The second attack was harder to dismiss. A full medical outpost on the colony world Trassel went dark. When rescue ships arrived, they found only ruins and bodies. No one spared, not human, not alien patient. The attackers had erased every trace of the facility. Whispers began to spread. Too precise, too targeted. The third strike shattered all doubts. On the neutral world of Velcra, humanity's most famous medical fleet was hosting a summit, sharing vaccines, surgical methods, and genetic therapies with dozens of alien doctors. Thousands of lives gathered in one place, all devoted to healing. The warlords of the Red Fang Coalition saw an opportunity. They unleashed fire on the summit. Warships rained plasma on hospitals and landing bays. Drones hunted medics through the streets. Screams filled the city as healers, unarmed and unprepared, tried desperately to protect the sick and injured. Over 700 human healers were killed that day. Hundreds more were dragged into captivity. The galaxy trembled. For many, it was an unthinkable crime. To attack soldiers was expected. To attack rulers was politics. But to attack healers, those who crossed borders without weapons, those who asked for nothing but the chance to save lives, that was an act of pure cruelty. The alien coalition did not care. In their eyes, humanity's healers had become too influential. Wherever they went, local populations began to trust humans more than warlords or governors. Their skill with medicine was winning hearts, and their presence was changing loyalties. The coalition feared a future where people would follow human ideals instead of their rule, and so they chose fear. They believed that if humanity's healers were slaughtered, humanity would retreat. They were wrong. On Earth, the news spread like wildfire. Entire cities fell silent as the casualty lists were read. In hospitals, doctors wept for colleagues they had trained beside. In schools, children lit candles for the doctors of the stars. Even hardened soldiers clenched their fists, rage burning behind their eyes. The United Council of Earth gathered in emergency session. Voices thundered through the chambers, some calling for negotiation, others demanding war. But all agreed on one point: the murder of healers could not go unanswered. In the middle of the debate, Admiral Reyes spoke words that would echo across human history. They struck at our healers. They thought us weak because we showed compassion. But let the galaxy remember, when you attack the hands that save, you will call forth the hands that kill. The angels of death will rise again. The chamber fell into silence. Every human there knew the name. It was not an official military unit, but a legend. The angels of death were the black ops soldiers humanity had once unleashed in desperate wars. They were invisible, merciless, and unforgettable. For centuries, humanity had locked them away, preferring to build peace with healers instead of fear with warriors. But now the choice had been made for them. The galaxy watched carefully. Would Earth beg for peace? Would they hide behind words and treaties? Many alien powers expected so. After all, humans were healers first, weren't they? But deep in hidden bases in the dark of space, something was stirring. The angels were waking. The first signs were whispers. A warlord's transport convoy vanished in deep space, leaving only fragments of metal. A pirate king known for raiding medical ships was found dead in his fortress, his guards untouched, his body marked with a black feather insignia. On backwater worlds, freed captives told stories, shadowy figures in dark armor who moved like wraiths, who struck with surgical precision, who melted into the night. They spoke no words, left no survivors among the guilty, and carried human prisoners back to safety. Fear spread faster than fire. The coalition began to panic. For every healer they had harmed, a new shadow fell over them. They sent more ships, more soldiers, but their fleets returned broken, or did not return at all. Their commanders began refusing missions that involved human targets. Soldiers deserted in the middle of campaigns, whispering that the angels would come for them next. But the most terrifying thing was not the destruction itself. It was the silence. The angels made no declarations, no boasts, no demands. They did not speak to the media. They left only a trail of wreckage and freed captives. And soon the galaxy began to piece together the new law of survival. If you welcomed humanity's healers, you gained life. If you harmed them, the angels of death would come. Yet amidst the fear and the vengeance, humanity's healers did not stop their work. That was the strangest and most powerful thing. On worlds scarred by war, they kept arriving with medicine and supplies. On plague-struck colonies, they risked infection to cure the sick. When asked if they were afraid of being attacked again, they simply answered, "Yes, but the sick need us more than we need safety." And behind them, in the shadows, the angels moved unseen, guarding their every step. But all of this was only the beginning. For the coalition had not yet realized the true scale of what they had awakened. The angels were not a few scattered operatives. They were a force reborn, shaped by Earth's darkest history, equipped with technologies no alien had ever seen, and their mission was simple: to protect the healers, to punish the guilty, to make the galaxy fear the cost of harming humanity's compassion. The coalition had struck the hands that healed. Now they would feel the wings of the angels of death. For years, the galaxy had known humans as healers, as helpers, as the ones who stepped into the fire to pull others out. But now something else was moving in the void, something born from the same stubborn heart, yet carrying a different face. The angels of death were awake. Their first mission was simple, but it carried great weight. A distress signal had reached Earth's hidden network. A group of human medics captured during the Velcra massacre had been taken to a slave world controlled by the coalition warlord Korath the Red. He was known for cruelty, using captives as bargaining chips and breaking prisoners for sport. Reports said the medics were alive, but barely. The council wanted them rescued, not only for their lives, but to send a message. Admiral Reyes approved the strike. The angels came silently, slipping into Korath's system with ships wrapped in stealth fields. These were not massive warships with banners and proud colors. They were dark hulls, lean and sharp, designed to cut through shadows. Their names were never spoken aloud, but in the data files they carried titles like Silent Mercy, Iron Wing, Ghost of Earth. The squad that would lead the mission was known only as Vigil Squad, 12 humans, each a veteran of battles most of the galaxy had forgotten. They wore black armor trimmed with faint silver, designed not to shine but to vanish into darkness. Their visors were expressionless, their movements precise. They did not march like soldiers. They flowed like shadows. Korath's fortress was a mountain of steel on the planet's surface. Towers bristled with weapons, drones circled in the sky, and mines spread across the ground like a deadly carpet. For decades it had been untouchable, but Korath had never faced the angels. The strike began at night when the fortress was at its calmest. Drone patrols buzzed, unaware of silent figures slipping through the dust storms. The angels crawled beneath sensors, hacked blind spots, and cut paths that no ordinary army could follow. One by one, the outer defenses fell, quietly. A guard vanished into the shadows, never making a sound. A drone's camera flickered, then showed nothing but static. Explosives were planted with surgeon's care, ready to sever power when the moment came. Finally, Vigil Squad breached the outer walls. Inside, the fortress was alive with noise, shouting guards, clanking machinery, the wail of captives. But the noise only masked the whispers of the angels. They moved like hunters in the dark. A guard turned a corner, gone. A squad checked a hall, never returned. By the time alarms finally began to wail, half the fortress had already been cut open from within. And at the heart of it, behind a dozen locked gates, the medics were found. Dr. Ilara Min, one of Earth's most respected trauma surgeons, had been beaten and starved, but her eyes still carried fire. When the angels entered the cell, she looked up, expecting another guard. Instead, she saw 12 faceless figures in black. For a moment, she thought they were executioners. But then one of them knelt, pressed a hand to her shoulder, and spoke in a calm voice through the helmet. "Dr. Min, we are here to bring you home." Tears fell freely down her cheeks. The other captives stirred, their hope reigniting. For weeks they had been told no one would come. And yet here were the shadows sent by Earth itself. The escape was not silent. Once the captives were free, the angels ignited the charges they had planted. Lights across the fortress died, plunging the mountain into darkness. Explosions rolled through the walls. Panic spread among Korath's guards. In the pitch black, they fired wildly, screaming of ghosts and demons. Some swore they saw black wings in the firelight, though none could be sure. By the time Korath himself realized what was happening, it was too late. His command chamber shook as the angels stormed inside. He raised his plasma axe, roaring a challenge, but the angels did not fight fair battles. 2 flashes of light, his weapons dropped. 3 strikes, his body fell. He never spoke another word. The insignia of a black feather was burned into the wall of his throne room. A warning to all who looked upon it later. The angels and their rescued healers vanished into the night sky. By the time coalition reinforcements arrived, the fortress was rubble and silence. News of the strike spread faster than any official channel could control. Whispers turned into stories, stories into legends. Across the galaxy, people told one another, "The angels came to Velkra's dead. They came to Korath's slaves. They walk unseen, and when they strike, no tyrant stands." Alien rulers began to tremble, but the angels did not stop at one mission. Days later, a pirate fleet known for raiding medical convoys was found adrift in space, their weapons disabled, their commanders executed with single shots to the head. A black feather was left floating on the bridge of their flagship. A week after that, a governor who had ordered the execution of human nurses woke in his palace, surrounded by silence. His guards were gone, his systems dead. On his throne sat a single human helmet, visor dark, with a message burned into the seat: "This chair belongs to no murderer of healers." The governor fled his world the same day, never to return. The coalition grew desperate. They deployed fleets to guard their territories. They offered bounties for any information about the angels. They even tried to convince the galaxy that humanity had gone too far, that humans were unleashing monsters with no mercy. But the argument failed. For every story of a warlord killed, there was another of captives freed. For every tale of destruction, there was a healer returned home. And in the shadows, the angels never harmed innocents, never struck at the sick, never punished the undeserving. They were not monsters. They were judgment. Meanwhile, the healers of Earth continued their work, protected now by the unseen hand of the angels. They walked once more into plague zones and battlefields. On one colony, alien civilians began a chant as human doctors arrived. "Angels guard you. Angels guard you." The words spread like a prayer. Humanity's doctors wept to hear it, for it meant the galaxy no longer saw them as alone. They were symbols of life, watched over by symbols of death. Together they became something greater. In hidden chambers of the coalition, fear curdled into rage. Warlords cursed the name of Earth. They promised to crush the humans before the legend grew beyond control. But behind closed doors, many wondered if it was already too late. Their soldiers were deserting. Their allies were whispering about peace. Entire systems were slipping away, choosing humanity's promise of care over the coalition's rule of terror. The angels had struck not only with weapons, but with fear. And fear was a weapon no shield could stop. Back on Earth, Admiral Reyes stood before the council once again. Reports of victory were laid before him. The rescued medics had returned. Korath was dead. The galaxy was beginning to shift, but Reyes's face was grim. "This is only the beginning," he warned. "The coalition will strike harder. They will try to break us before the angels break them. We must be ready." And humanity was ready. The healers sharpened their tools. The angels sharpened their blades. and together they prepared for the storm that was coming. Because the coalition had made one mistake that could never be undone. They had taught humanity that compassion must sometimes be guarded by vengeance, and now the angels of death would not rest. Before, most species had seen humans as healers, kind, stubborn, always ready to risk their lives for strangers. But now a second image had taken hold, the angels of death. Black-armored warriors who struck without warning and left nothing but ruins and feathers behind. The two faces of humanity, gentle hands and iron fists, moved together. One saved lives, the other destroyed those who tried to harm the saviors. And in the space between those faces, fear began to grow. The coalition of warlords did not sit idle. In a dark chamber on the world Zarkesh, the leaders of the Red Fang coalition gathered. Their faces were grim, their voices sharp with anger. Around the table sat 9 warlords, each with fleets and armies at their command. They had once been united by greed and power.
Now they were united by fear of humanity. The stories spread too fast, growled war leader Korath's successor, a scaled brute named Ralk. Every world whispers of the angels.
Farmers refuse to pay us tribute. Miners flee their posts. Even our soldiers ask if the shadows will come for them. Another warlord slammed his claw on the table. Because you let Korath fall, you let the humans strike one of our strongest, and you did nothing. Ralk bared his teeth. And what would you have done? The angels do not fight fair. They do not face fleets head-on. They cut throats in the dark. They steal prisoners from cages. They are not soldiers, they are nightmares. The chamber fell into silence, because deep down they all agreed. Finally, the eldest warlord spoke, her voice cold and cruel. If we cannot win by force, then we must win with words. We will turn the galaxy against them. We will show the humans for what they are, murderers hiding behind masks. And so began the propaganda war. Coalition broadcasts spread across neutral space. They showed images of destroyed fortresses, burning fleets, and dead warlords. But instead of calling them victories, the coalition called them atrocities. Look, the voices cried, at what humanity has unleashed. These so-called angels of death are assassins. They kill leaders in the night. They destroy ships without warning. They terrorize civilians. The humans send healers only to win your trust and then send killers to rule you. At first, some believed the words. After all, the angels were terrifying. They did not announce themselves, they left only wreckage behind. Even allies of humanity wondered if the stories were true. But then other voices rose to answer. On the world Aresi, a child stood before a camera, her thin arms scarred by disease. The humans cured me, she said. No one else would come. The coalition ignored us. But the humans came. If the angels guard them, then I say, let the angels come. On the mining moon Tashar, a group of freed captives recorded their testimony. We were slaves under the coalition, they said. They beat us, starved us, broke us, and then the angels came. They killed only our masters. They set us free. Tell me, who are the monsters? The stories spread faster than lies. For every propaganda broadcast, 10 voices rose to defend humanity. The coalition's plan was failing. Meanwhile, the angels only grew bolder. They struck not only at warlords, but at supply lines, weapon factories, and treasuries. Coalition fleets began to collapse from within, unable to feed their soldiers. Factories went dark. Their overseers found dead with black feathers on their desks. One raid became legend, the assault on the vault of Gorath. The vault was said to be impenetrable, a fortress buried beneath kilometers of rock, storing the coalition's greatest treasures and data. Armies had tried to storm it and failed. But the angels did not storm. They burrowed. Using seismic drills and cloaked transports, they tunneled beneath the vault itself. At dawn, the guards heard explosions from below. By the time they realized what was happening, the angels had already taken everything inside. When the coalition finally broke through, they found the vault empty except for a single message burned into the walls. Nothing hidden. Nothing safe. Nothing spared if you harm the healers. The coalition howled in rage, but the galaxy cheered. Still, the war was not without cost. The coalition grew desperate. They unleashed mercenary fleets, assassins, and spies. In several cases, human healers were caught in the crossfire, saved at the last moment by angels, but not always without scars. On one world, A medical convoy was ambushed before the angels could arrive. Dozens of alien patients were killed alongside 3 human doctors. Humanity mourned them deeply, and the angels swore vengeance. Days later, the ambushing fleet was found adrift. Every crew member executed, their ships intact but unmanned. It was a grim reminder. Even the angels could not be everywhere. The war of shadows stretched across months. The galaxy began to split into 2 camps. On one side, the Coalition and its shrinking allies screamed about human monsters. On the other, systems quietly turned to humanity, offering shelter to healers and asking only one thing in return: protection. And slowly, humanity began to win. Not through open war, but through reputation. The Coalition was feared, yes, but the angels were feared more. And fear of the angels came with a strange comfort. As long as you did not harm the healers, you were safe. It became a new law whispered in marketplaces, on starships and back alleys. Do not touch the humans who heal, for if you do, the angels will come. But the Coalition was not finished. In a desperate bid to turn the tide, they planned something greater than propaganda or ambush. Their spies uncovered the movements of Earth's primary medical fleet, a vast armada of hospital ships carrying thousands of healers and supplies. If they could destroy it, the Coalition believed they could break humanity's spirit once and for all. They gathered fleets in secret. They prepared traps and lures, and they swore that this time the angels would not save their healers. On Earth, Admiral Reyes received the intelligence. His council of commanders studied the reports, their faces grim. The danger was real. The Coalition was planning to strike harder than ever before, but Reyes did not look afraid. Instead, he smiled, a cold, sharp smile. "They think they are hunting us," he said. "But it is they who walk into the trap. The angels are ready. Let the Coalition come." Far across the galaxy, the angels of death prepared. Their ships glided through the void, silent and unseen, wings of vengeance unfolding in the dark. The war of shadows was reaching its peak. The Coalition believed they could end it with one final blow. But the angels had other plans, and soon the galaxy would witness a judgment greater than any before. The Coalition believed it had humanity cornered. The primary medical fleet, thousands of ships carrying healers, supplies, and the hope of countless worlds, was moving through the neutral expanse, a corridor thought too wide for ambush. The Coalition's armadas lay in wait, hidden in the shadows of asteroids, cloaked warships ready to strike. The warlords believed that if they destroyed this fleet, they could crush humanity's influence forever. They were wrong. Earth had anticipated the attack. Admiral Reyes and his council had studied the Coalition's movements for months. Every fleet, every command ship, every shuttle had been mapped. The angels of death were not just warriors. They were strategists, engineers, and masters of psychological warfare. The human healers, as always, remained unaware of the scale of danger. They continued their work, treating alien civilians in distress, preparing for the next stop along the fleet's journey. Their trust in humanity's protection was absolute, and that trust was their greatest strength. The first signs of the ambush came as the fleet entered the asteroid field known as the Silent Reach. Coalition ships struck suddenly, laser fire ripping through the vanguard. Explosions illuminated the void and alarms rang across the medical fleet. Yet nothing seemed to connect. The angels had prepared for this. From beneath the asteroid field, hundreds of black-armored ships, small, fast, and unseen, emerged like shadows. They struck Coalition vessels silently, cutting engines, sabotaging weapons, and neutralizing enemy command centers. By the time the Coalition realized what had happened, half their fleet was already disabled. The angels moved with surgical precision. Entire brigades of Coalition soldiers disappeared without warning, while human medics and their alien patients were untouched. The galaxy would later call it the Shadow Sweep, a strike so clean it seemed impossible. On one command ship, a Coalition warlord screamed orders. "Destroy them. Do not let a single human survive." His words were meaningless. The angels were not fighting conventional battles. One squad had already infiltrated the bridge of his flagship, using zero-gravity tubes to reach the heart of the vessel. By the time he saw them, it was too late. The angels executed the warlord with swift efficiency. His body dropped silently onto the command deck. A single black feather etched into the floor marked the victory. His officers panicked, firing blindly at shadows that were no longer there. Their ships became traps, each strike countered with precision. In minutes, the flagship was neutralized, drifting silently among the wreckage of the fleet. Meanwhile, the healers continued their work. Across the fleet, medical teams moved from one ship to another, unaware of the near-miraculous rescue unfolding around them. Plagues were treated, injuries healed, and alien lives saved, all while the angels removed the threat from every corner of space. It was humanity's paradox, life and death walking hand in hand. The galaxy began to whisper the truth once more. Do not touch the humans who heal, for if you do, the angels will come. The coalition tried again, this time focusing on larger numbers. A fleet twice the size of the medical armada appeared on sensors, hiding behind nebula clouds and asteroid belts. Their aim was to overwhelm the angels and strike the fleet down in one decisive blow. But the angels anticipated this too. They had divided the enemy forces using decoys, false signals, and strategic traps. Some coalition fleets were lured into asteroid mazes, where the angels struck from every side. Others were met by ambushes in open space, where unseen missile batteries disabled engines before ships could respond. Within hours, the coalition's entire plan had collapsed. Warlords found their soldiers defeated without ever knowing who struck. Propaganda fell silent, replaced by awe and fear. And then came the final confrontation, the coalition's central command fortress. It was a massive structure, floating in orbit around the neutral planet Calthor. Its weapons could destroy planets, its fleets could crush entire colonies. The warlords had gathered there, confident that this fortress would be humanity's end. But the angels were ready. They attacked silently, penetrating the fortress's defenses from multiple angles. Boarding tubes dropped down the sides unseen by orbital sensors. Inside, the angels moved like shadows, taking out sentries before alarms could even sound. Each step was deliberate, each strike calculated. When the warlords finally became aware of the intruders, it was too late. The angels had reached the command chamber. The chamber was vast, filled with weapons, screens, and warlords shouting orders. But the angels ignored the noise. They moved as a single unit, striking with efficiency, disabling weapons, neutralizing commanders. Within minutes, the fortress had fallen. The warlords tried to escape in shuttles. Every shuttle was intercepted. Every life taken only reinforced the legend. The angels left no survivors among the guilty. Yet in a room nearby, they left the prisoners, captured healers, alien diplomats, and innocents untouched. The final message was simple. The hands that heal are sacred. The hands that strike harm will meet the angels of death. Across the galaxy, word spread instantly. Every warlord who had dared threaten humanity now trembled. Entire fleets retreated. Systems that had once supported the coalition turned to humanity, offering allegiance and peace. Fear and respect became indistinguishable. Humanity had not only protected its healers but had reshaped the galaxy's understanding of power. Strength was not only in fleets or weapons but in courage, protection, and unwavering resolve. Back on Earth, Admiral Reyes addressed the Council. His face was calm, though the reports were staggering. The fleets are intact. The healers are safe. The angels have done what they must. Humanity has won, not because we sought war, but because we protected life. And that is a victory greater than any battlefield conquest. Cheers echoed through the chambers. Humanity had proven that even in the darkest corner of the galaxy, compassion could be guarded by unmatched strength. The healers returned to their work immediately. On dozens of planets, human doctors and nurses treated the wounded, built hospitals, and trained local caregivers. Wherever humans went, hope followed. And wherever humans went, the galaxy now understood a simple truth: hurt a healer, and the angels of death will come. The angels themselves returned to shadow. They were not celebrated. They were not paraded. Their deeds became legends whispered in fear and respect alike. The galaxy knew they existed, but few ever saw them. They remained the silent guardians, watching over the hands that heal. Even now, years later, coalition warlords spoke their names in terror, and allies of humanity spoke them with gratitude. The angels of death are watching. Harm no healer or they will come. It was a warning, a lesson, and a promise. And humanity's healers continued their journey. They traveled to dying planets, war-torn colonies, and plague-ridden moons. They healed the sick, comforted the suffering, and nurtured life. And behind them, in the darkness, the angels watched. ensuring that life was respected, that compassion was never violated, and that the galaxy would never forget the cost of attacking the gentle hands of humanity. The coalition was broken. The galaxy had learned, and Earth's people, both healers and warriors, stood as guardians of life, shaping the universe not with fear but with a terrifying, unyielding justice that ensured hope could survive anywhere. Humanity had been challenged. Humanity had been attacked. And humanity had answered with everything it had: courage, compassion, and the unrelenting force of the angels of death. And the galaxy would never again underestimate the people of Earth.